So there's been some rumblings and a little bit of talk of conflict of interest with the defense team for Brian, as well as a couple of other things in the headlines. Some of you have been hitting me up asking what I thought about it, so you're going to find out what I think about it today. But always keep in mind, these are just my opinions. I ain't a doctor, I ain't a lawyer, I ain't no cop or nothing fancy like that. I'm just a guy with a sofa and a little dog and some opinions on true crime. So let's go ahead and get to the opinions. Hello everybody and welcome back to the sofa. That's the sofa, and that's our trusty sidekick, Mr. Roscoe P. Coltrane. He's getting situated for a little bit of story time back there, so just be patient with him. And my name is Paul. I hope everybody's doing well. Before we jump in, thank you to everybody who makes the Sofa Squad possible. It would not be here without you. Shout out to the top tier Patreon members, as well as the channel members, and everybody who hangs out in the comments section, who talks and likes and shares the video, and talks about the victim stories and keeps their lives in the present for everybody to remember them by, as well as the doors open and our cushions fluffed. Now, today's video, we are reverting back to the old Brian. So there's been some stuff going on in the headlines. I just wanted to hit on basically 3 different things today. We're going to talk about this thing going around about this interview that he did with the former police chief of, I can't even talk today. The former chief of police. We're going to talk about the conflict of interest situation with the defense, and then one other little quick excerpt, if you will. So let's go ahead and start off. What I'll do is I'm going to put the headlines up here, and some of them I might actually refer to the article and use those as talking points and just give some of my thoughts and opinions on them. So first up, we have Brian Kohberger was interviewed by local police chief for internship months before the Idaho murders. Now in the article, it just states that he was interviewed by a local police department for an internship position months before the slayings. New emails show a brief exchange between Brian and the then chief of Pullman Police Department, Gary Jenkins. And in the email to Mr. Jenkins, Brian wrote, "It was a great pleasure to meet with you today, share his thoughts and excitement." And Mr. Jenkins wrote back, "It's great to meet and talk with you as well." And of course, it doesn't, nothing really came of that, it appears. So here's my thought process on this. I think little tidbits like this are going to, of course, pop up and everything. This is no surprise here. Obviously, this dude, meaning Brian, he wanted to be all up in anything he could be in. Now, what is interesting with this is when we find out how much he was planning this in the background. And so if we can sit here and start to piece the puzzle together to be like, if he was really, truly, methodically planning this up, and then he was like, lining this up too, it's like, how much was he wanting to watch from afar that going on? Side note, please excuse the puppy in the background barking. That is the little puppy. That is my mom's little puppy. You've probably seen her in some of my posts, and she's got 2 cents to say today too. Okay, now let's jump over. Speaking of evidence and stuff like that, let's talk about the discovery stuff. So let's look at the next headline. Now this one's just real simple. Idaho murderers, Brian Kohberger defense receives hundreds of documents from the prosecutors. Now my first thought with this is I was like, my God, can you imagine the information that was in there? Because just number one, see what we've seen as the public, right? And like a lot of the stuff where we're scratching our heads like, I mean, did he want to get caught? You know what I'm saying? So you can only imagine what they have. God knows the horrific pictures and stuff like that. I would not want to be tasked with having to look at that. But of course, this document dump like this, I mean, of course, they're going to get this. This is normal. This is not abnormal to me whatsoever. What will be interesting for this, and again, this is going to end up segueing into the whole conflict of interest discussion here, is what this is going to form really the defense, right? What exactly do they have? What all are we looking at here? And honestly, my 2 cents on it is, just from what we've seen as the public, it can't be good, right? I mean, just look at what we've seen so far. So I'm very curious to see what kind of evidence they have, if it solidifies some stuff. Now, I know I'm making it sound like, oh, this is, There is no case out there that is like, oh, this is open and shut, because you never know. And also, you never know what might happen today in 30 years could change, right? So you just never know. So I don't want to sound like I'm like, oh, forget it, whatever. But just the little things that we've seen it's not looking good for Brian, right? So there's that. Let's let that segue into the main topic of this video. And this is this whole conflict of interest with the defense team. Now, before we jump into it, you heard her in the background. She is not going to be happy until she makes her debut. Now, we have to be very gentle, though, because Roscoe, he doesn't like to share the limelight. This is Coco. Say hello.
See, what are we doing? I was playing. What are you doing?
This is Coco. Say hello. Say hello. See, look at the little thing here on the screen. This is Coco. This is who is barking. So I'm sorry, but I'm going to hold her because she is out there having a grand old time, which I'm glad she is. But I'm sure all of you out there who are listening with dogs are like, oh my gosh, is that dog going to be quiet? So, anyways, she's still a very young puppy, so she can't hold it down back there with Roscoe. And truth be told, he does not like her. He doesn't like it when she visits. But she loves him, of course. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump into this next article here. And I'm just going to put it up on the screen. And we'll start off with the title. Defense attorney for Idaho murder suspect Brian Kohberger helped represent family of another victim. Chief public defender oversaw Maddie Mogan's dad's drug charge, as well as Zana Kernodle's mom a narcotics offense. Now, I'm just going to say this. We're not going to look at the video clips of this. I know there was an interview with the mother. I didn't like the vibe of that. This is not meant to talk about their personal issues and all that kind of stuff. I send prayers to them and hope they can find their way with whatever is, going on with their personal lives. I think it's even more heartbreaking to learn of that. But we're not here to, exploit their own personal issues or whatever. What we're here to talk about is the dynamic of the public defender representing, having the past thing with the dad, but then the most recent thing was Xana's mother, and then dropping her case to jump over to Brian's case. So let's just look at a couple of actual excerpts from the article and talk about those. Okay, so the first one reads, Taylor is just one of 13 public defenders in the Idaho approved by the state's Public Defense Commission to lead a capital punishment case. She's also the only one in all of North Idaho. So this is major. The chief public defender's role is responsible for planning, implementing, coordinating, directing, and evaluating activities and programs of the public defender's office, according to a previous job advertisement for the role in Idaho. So here's some very quick thoughts on this. And now again, this is where it comes into play of, I ain't no lawyer. I don't know the ins and outs of this, but obviously, there's not a ton of public defenders in there. Now, we follow these cases here at the Sofa Squad. We know public defenders are stretched thin, right? I get this. So here, she's the only one who's qualified for this capital punishment case here in North Idaho. So there's that going on. And we'll get into the particulars of the way it was handled, and is going to, what I think might come down the pipeline or should come down the pipeline. But I just want to kind of point that out, that I can acknowledge that she is probably very stretched thin. Not many people can do the type thing going on, and this is a major public case. Okay, so let's go to the next thing. California appellate and litigation lawyer Matthew Barhoma told DailyMail.com that Taylor seems to want to work on the case with Kohberger, describing it as an odd and unique situation. He said Taylor had many prior dealings with the mother on multiple occasions. That heightens the conflict. You have to assume she received no confidential information from the mother that could bleed into this case. And then you have to question if she can do the job impartially, and it could affect Brian, who may not have a replaced attorney. It is an inherently difficult issue with no clear-cut answer and is a gray area. However, if it were me, I would recuse myself from the case. Okay, so here's my thing with this, and yes, I think he brings up good points, and obviously he's just, making some commentary on this. So she's had these, this working relationship with the mother on all these different situations, was currently representing her in something which I think is in the next little clip we're going to read. So here's the thing that I immediately go to, and this is where my mind immediately goes. I'm like, so wait a minute, hold up. Brian is dealing with an attorney that he may or may not know at this point, I would assume he knows, was dealing with the mothers of one of his victims, I feel like he would get off on that in some gross way, right? Now also remember, I've done other videos and so other people, the way that he kind of looked at this, this attorney went to the schools, she has the blonde hair, she has that look, there was this weird kind of vibe with him, and so you have to question, where's that there? Then also too, right off the rip, it's like, you're representing someone who allegedly took the life of a client who you've worked with several times. They're not the client, but the daughter of. That's really, really tricky, right? And like this guy says, I would recuse myself from the case. Now, again, I ain't a lawyer, but my first gut reaction is like, oh yeah, like there's just no, let alone how this would potentially affect the case down the road, right? I mean, it doesn't feel right. Now, let's go ahead and look at the next clip. Now, it says, Nordingham, referring to the mother, says that she trusted the lawyer to help her and is unsure if she even has new representation. She added that she feels betrayed by Taylor and felt that she had been abandoned by prosecutors who knew Koberger studies at WSU, where Xana's sister attends. Nordingham has long battled addiction. She only found out that Taylor was representing her daughter's accused killer when a friend saw it on social media and told her. It is unclear why a liaison officer from the victim and witness coordinator team had not gotten in touch. Rahoma explained that it is plausible that Taylor only became aware of the conflict after taking the case, but believes that it would have come out earlier. He added there's substantial conflict of interest despite removing herself from the mother's case. She should get herself off of Brian's case too. So here's my thing. And again, my heart aches for the mother, because again, imagine finding this out on social media and being like, where's where's my lawyer and all this kind of stuff, or whatever the case may be, right? She's obviously already going through her own issues. Now, again, my question is too, is like, why didn't somebody contact her about this? And like this lawyer's giving her the benefit of the doubt. Well, maybe they didn't find out about this till after, but I mean, I seriously doubt that, right? So my whole thing is this. So on one side of the fence, I can see where I'm like, okay, take feelings out of it. And it's like, maybe this lawyer is the only one qualified for this. They need her on this. We need you to drop your cases. We need you to come over here. This is standard protocol, but oh, whoops, it happens to be you're tangled up with actually the victims' families. Okay. So there's that. So then you can't, you almost can't help but get emotions involved in it at that point, right? So then there's that conflict of interest, and that's where I'm like, I feel like this transition just wasn't done right. We need to dot our I's, we need to cross our T's, we need to make sure everyone's aware of what's going on and why it's going on. But then at the end of the day, even if this is done like temporarily, to be like, we're going to have to get a special defense attorney in or something, right, to handle this long-term wise, because it's just the conflict is too much. And that kind of brings me to my overall point, is that's what I feel like they should do. I feel like this is too much of a conflict, and really for her to represent either one of them at this point, just like they said, right? I just don't think she should do either one of them, because it's too much, right? It's too much. I feel like it should have been handled well. Obviously her mother is going, fighting her own battle right now. Before this happened to her daughter, God only knows. I pray she will be okay through this. I can't imagine. I can't imagine. And so I just feel like they should take extra care and keeping people notified and whatnot. And yeah, it would sit wrong with me too to know that. Now again, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if this is standard protocol, and it just so happens that, there is this whole conflict of interest thing involved in it, which is what it sounds like to me. So I don't know. Anyways, y'all let me know what you think down in the comment section. And again, I'm sorry we had our little, interrupter here, but she has thoroughly enjoyed story time with us today. She has been licking my hand the whole time. She is ready to go play again. She is not old enough to be a TV dog and hold the Sofa Squad down quite yet. So anyways, I appreciate everybody. Drop some hearts for the victims down in the comment section, and until we meet back at the sofa with a little Coco maybe and a little Roscoe, I'll see you soon.